What's going on? It's Tysophon. Just wanted to come on here and make a video talking about a feature that I believe should have been introduced into the Tales of franchise a long time ago, or at least have a whole game to itself based around this feature. And that feature that I've been thinking about recently is an online co-op feature, or an online co-op mode if you will. Now, if you know anything about the reputation of local co-op in the Tales franchise, you would know that it's not exactly the most cherished function within the games. Most people say that they do not play Tales games with other people, and there were a lot of problems that caused it to not be a fun time for players even if they did. For example, in games like Tales of Zestiria, during co-op mode, the camera has a tendency to follow player 1's character over player 2, 3, and 4's characters. It's so bad to the point that if you're controlling a character in the player 2, 3, or 4 spot, you won't be able to see them on the screen when the camera zooms in on player 1's character. You also got games like Tales of Xillia, where you have the linking mechanic, which allows characters on the field who are linked to perform actions together to share buffs and other benefits with one another. When a player links with another local player, you'll run into an issue where the player being linked to will lose all function and all control of the character they were playing, and the player that performed the link first will then have control over that person's character, which sounds confusing and also proves my point. The easy solution to this is to just link to a different character than the other player, right? Yeah, that would work if only 2 players are playing, but not for 4 players. I think developers should focus on making the experience fun for 4 players at a time, as I feel like the combat would really shine the most playing with a full party being controlled by humans. As a solution, you could choose not to link with each other during local 4 player, but in Xillia, not linking during battles means you're putting your team at a big disadvantage, especially during boss fights. Overall, it would require a lot of coordinations from all 2, 3, 4 players. Don't get me wrong, some of the game's co-op functions work better than other installments in the series, like Ingraces and Symphonia. Those 2 games I've had the least problems with playing local co-op in my experience, but overall, it feels like it hasn't been perfected yet. I think it's long overdue for a Tales game to have this feature in the game and it actually be legitimate. So let's talk about how it could be implemented in a Tales game. Well, for starters, it doesn't have to be a function that could be used in the main story. It could be used in its own, let's say, multiplayer mode. Players could play through raid-like battles where you face against swarms of different enemies that progressively get harder and harder the longer you last in the raid. Then maybe after every 10 waves, you fight a powerful boss type of enemy. Similar to how battles work in the Jean Du Coliseum in Tales of Xillia, before battle, players can be allowed to choose which character they would like to play as during the whole duration of the battles without being able to switch, but each of the players should be smart in the way that they choose who to play as. So let's take the Vesperia cast for example. Just like in any Tales game, every team has to be balanced. You need damage dealers, you need healers/support characters to keep the team alive, right? So a balanced team in my opinion would look like this. Rita would cover the damage dealing role alongside maybe Judith or Yuri. Then the team could use 2 support characters, and I would personally choose Carol or Raven to cover those spots. I would be controlling Carol in this setup as I had the most fun playing that character in my playthrough of Vesperia. Pretty balanced team, right? Let's do another one like the Xillia 2 cast. Personally, my team would look a little something like this. Gaius and Luger as my damage dealers, and Elise and Leia as my supporting characters. I would control Luger in this setup. I'm having fun with this, so let's do one more. How about the Berseria cast, which I found a little bit harder to put into specific roles due to how the game plays out, and the game's mechanics and the game's format. I would have Laphicet, Magilu, Eleanor, and Rokurou all on one team. Laphicet and Eleanor both having healing capabilities, so they could act as support characters, and Rokurou and Magilu will be my damage characters because they do good damage and they can shut down mage-like enemies very fast. Personally, I would control Rokurou in this situation because I genuinely had the most fun playing that character in my Berseria playthrough. So pretty much choosing a team would be akin to choosing team compositions in games like Overwatch. Reviving incapacitated teammates might be tricky to do because you don't want to stop the flow of battle by bringing up a menu mid-fight, so maybe every player could be given 5 life bottles to start with at the beginning, and will have to manage it throughout the rest of the waves. I was thinking moving near KO teammates and holding down a specific button for a duration of time could activate the life bottle for a nearby KO teammate to be revived. And to make sure players don't run out of life bottles, I was thinking life bottles could be restored by one every major boss fight you take down during the waves as well. As for abilities, aka arts, they could be customized for each character in the menus before battling online, or specific ways will have a preset of specific arts for the characters automatically. The reason for the presets is because you might not be sure what elemental weaknesses the enemies are going to have into the battles beforehand, and most characters have too many arts to filter through, like Luger for example. This was just an idea that I had on my mind for years now, especially after seeing how Tales of Arise completely removed the co-op function altogether. Let me know in the comments if you agree with an online co-op type of feature in these Tales games going into the future, and also let me know what your dream team would look like if this online co-op mode was actually a thing. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to keep up with more of my videos, hit the subscribe button, as it really helps my channel out a bunch. This has been Tysophon, and I'm out, people. Later.